So as like a business owner or a technician, when you get put in these positions to do that, you have that responsibility. Cross your T's, dot your I's, and then what I like to call it is a triple check. Stay positive, no matter how hot it is, no matter how hard and overworked and tired you are. Um, don't take it home. That's another one, big one. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
leave it in your van.
Hola, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Reliable HVACR podcast. I appreciate everybody for tuning in, watching this live. If you guys joined the live chat, I appreciate you guys interacting with me and the guest. If you guys are on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the new channel and help it out. Help the podcast out by wherever you listen to on Spotify, Apple Podcast, making sure you leave a 5-star review, hopefully, and get the podcast out to more people. And I want to give a quick shout out to the sponsors that help support the podcast. If you guys are interested in the software that we use to help my business, you can go check out Jobber. If you guys follow the link in the description or go to getjobber.com/reliablehvacr, you will get a free trial and discount and see if it can help you out. I also want to thank VETO Pro Pack, best tool bags out in the market. You guys already know I'm a VETO person. I have a VETO setup for everything in my van. So if you guys want to check out the link in the description, you can go to their website, go see all the bags that they have, go check out my customer profile that's there, and show your support. On today's episode, we have Richie Polenz. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Richie Polenz HVAC. You can find him on Instagram. I'll leave all his information in the description as always. Dude got into industrial right away, went through a couple different hoops for school, and then ended up running his own business. Basically, he's been doing this for a little while. He's new into the business side of things, has a background in accounting and a few little different tidbits that we'll get into, and I'll just let him tell his story. Enjoy the episode. All right, man. So real quick, I saw like you did a job recently with RLS fittings too. I wanted to ask you about that real quick before I forget.
Yeah.
Did you use a whole bunch to do that?
Yeah, I did. I think through the whole project, like 36 fittings, I think we used,
Oh,
a
no way.
few dozen, yeah, a few dozen fittings. What it was a Daikin VRV 12-ton condensing unit. The compressor burned out, and the unit they replaced compressors on it like twice in a year. Then they started replacing boards and fans, the other contractor. And then we got the call to come in and see what we could do about fixing it. And if what he really wanted was a quote to replace the condensing unit, because he said the building management was sick of the repairs. They're tired of it. They just want to get out of it now. They're ready to replace the unit. And I'm like, all right, no problem. I'll give you a quote for it. It's a burnout, so we got to get down into the office space and blow out all the pipes and all the units. It's going to be a pretty big, intrusive project in the office space. And he's like, yeah, I understand. Quote it as you need to. I said, okay. So we ended up getting the project. When I went to go recover the unit to start this project, it was empty. It was 4 pounds of refrigerant out of, I think, like a 75 or 80-pound charge. And
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, yeah, I was like, you guys know this thing's flat. There's no refrigerant in your system. And he's like, we had no idea. I found dye in the system in the oil. And I'm like, you guys didn't know there was a leak. There's people, there's dye in the system. What's going on? And he's like, no, nobody told us.
Hmm.
So, what I think is those compressors are failing because there's no refrigerant, and
Yeah.
nobody knew that. Nobody, decided to stop and like, hey, let's recover this thing and see what's happening. So anyway, long story short, again, I
No, it's
get off
fine.
topic.
And I've had that. I was gonna say I hate going. The most interesting ones are when you go behind somebody else, right? Because you never know if they diagnosed it right. You never know what they did to it, and then you're
Right.
basically starting over. Because I just had that conversation with somebody yesterday, and it's like, you go there and they told you what they wanted, right? I mean, that's essentially what it was. They're like, come in and do this. And then
Right,
you're like,
right,
and then you're like, no, but something else is going on. Let's try and figure that out first, right? I've had
right.
this same
It
exact thing
turned into a whole
happen.
new project. Yeah, turned into a whole new project. And look, I put in the job, all the refrigerant because I knew it was a burnout. We had to put in new
Yeah.
refrigerant. I knew we were going to spend the labor running around, blowing out lines, so that's okay. Um, but now it's like, wait, we have to stop and isolate each air handler, and uh, we have to find out where this leak is before we continue. So now the startup's delayed. I had to call Daikin to reschedule the commissioning because I was going to have
Oh
them
yeah.
come in and commission it, and they can't come in for the next week because they're slammed doing this work. And so I'm like, screw it. We'll just take our time. We're just going to go slow. We're
You
going to
have
go.
to. Yeah, you have
Yeah,
to.
I was like, we pressurize each air handler individually for 24 hours, and then we pressurize the line set from the air handlers to the condenser for another 24 hours. And I have the whole system now under a nitro for the weekend. We'll
Okay.
go back on Monday and see how it ended up. But there was no isolation valves on these air handlers. Nobody put in valves to begin with, so I
Mm,
had to. I ordered. I had all my fittings I needed for RLS, and I was like, shit, I need ball valves now.
yeah.
And I went on supplyhouse.com, and they have overnight shipping, and I ended up ordering, you know, 4 valves for each, four 3/8, 4 5/8, and 4 1/2 inch, I think it was, something like that.
Were you able to
Um,
use the RLS fittings with those, or were those from RLS?
yeah, so those were RLS valves. Those
Okay, because
were,
I noticed that they started making like they actually make more stuff than people realize, right? Like they have the I think they have dryers too, the valves of different kinds, and then like their
I
fittings.
think so. Yeah, I think so. Those valves are really nice. They're prepped. You don't have to clean them. I still sand them a little bit, but they're already deburred. It's like super clean. The ends.
Yeah,
They're ready.
I still like to clean them myself and stuff just in case. And then
Yeah.
recently I saw they had a post about their flare fittings, which I kind of understand, right? You can torque them down, and then like after you got everything in place, you can press it in. Like it makes it a little bit simpler. Um,
Yeah.
even though I don't deal with flares a lot, I just make my own.
Yeah.
I did use a flare fitting from them. I do carry like I don't know, like 3 or 4 just in case, because I had
Mhm.
an issue where I had to put in a dryer and I wanted to use a flared fitting dryer, and the line set was just not long enough, right? And then like I don't want to go bust out torches on a high roof just for one like little joint. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is perfect. It gives me a few more inches, and then I can connect it. So that's where I use mine. Like
That's all.
I'm not gonna use strictly press or strictly braze. It's like whatever helps me out on the job.
The building staff is so busy, pulling them around, having somebody be a fire watch for us in the building.
Yeah,
When I told them,
I don't deal with that a whole lot, but we do have a hospital, and it's required at the hospital, right? And it's a pain in the ass.
yeah, it's a pain in the butt. And then some buildings they want to felt like a work permit and stuff, and have it present. And one customer we were working for, they had an OSHA violation, so they're super strict on, like,
Mm.
they have like fire blankets they supply us. They have extinguishers that are right there. They have a sign, a permit we have to hold on us, and which is fine. It's just and I'm like, look, I'm gonna be brazen for like maybe an hour, and then we're gonna be done.
I know. I've done like I don't do a lot of big jobs, so for me, it's even more in my head. Like I just got to do this small ass like reach in cooler, right? Like the
Right.
simplest of jobs, right? Two little joints, or I don't know, 2 to 4 joints, whatever it is, and they're like 1/4 inch or 3/8 lines, right? I was like, it's not that bad, but they
Yeah.
require a fire watch. They're not super strict because I've heard others. Like I was gonna talk to another guy that had or he brought up, because a lot of people are using RLS now for big jobs, right? Like it's just easy in and out construction, fire watch, everything, that you're talking about too. And he's like, yeah, we have to have a fire watch. Like I don't know how many hours after the job's done, just in case there's any embers or anything um,
I've heard that. I've heard of that before.
that
Yeah,
might
yeah.
catch on fire, right? Like you got to have somebody there with a damn fire extinguisher just watching, how many hours, after the job.
Yeah, that's wild. I don't know how, you could like you gotta kind of like fit that labor into if you have to have that, you gotta really fit that into the job. It's like hours, and then what is it, overtime? So someone's got to stay there.
Yeah,
That's
because like the
that's
job, itself,
guys.
it's whatever you build out the time for, and then like it's the after hours or the day
Yeah,
after or whatever it is. This podcast is presented by Local. Local works tirelessly to help HVAC contractors rank higher on Google. They use an attack methodology to make sure that contractors dominate their local service areas and increase their market share and generate higher revenue. Reach out to Local at localhq.com/reliable. Mention me or the Reliable HVACR podcast, and you'll get 2 months of SEO for free. SPECTROLINE leak detection, the highest quality and brightest fluorescent leak detection products on the market. Get the job done right with their 2-in-1 premium UV dye and powerful AC sealant Glow Seal. I've actually used it. You can extend the lifespan of your equipment, find and seal the smallest and the hardest to find leaks. It works 24/7. Once it's in, it's always on. This product works when you're not there. The only focused leak detection company with success in many industries, because believe it or not, it's in most vehicles out on the road right now. So if you guys want to find out more, go to spectroline.com and let me know what your favorite leak detection method is.
I was always private. Up here in New York, it's a lot of unions in the city. We were like one of few shops that were non-union,
Mm.
and all we did was service work in the city, retrofits, control work, replacements, maintenance contracts, and things like that. That most union places they don't touch. They don't want to do
Yeah.
service. They're doing construction and stuff. Go ahead.
So you're up in New York then. How is it up there? Like, are you guys, or what kind of stuff do you see often, and what kind of work do you guys do? Because
Yeah.
you being up there, I think you see a little bit. Like I'm in Texas, so I'm like a ways away, dude. Like I don't see.
Yeah.
I always tell people I don't even see a lot of like no heat calls. Like it's hot here all year round, right? It's AC
Yeah,
all
yeah.
year.
You guys have like
Uh,
a 10-month cooling season.
yeah, yeah. Basically, like honestly, sometimes it's even like a month of winter that we get at the most.
That's
And our
wild. Yeah,
and our
totally.
winter is like 60 degrees to maybe 40 at the most. Like that's cold to us. But up there in New York, do you guys work on like boilers and other kind of equipment?
Yep. Yeah, we got a lot of boilers. I started getting into servicing boilers. I had uh, I had done a 2.5 million BTU Columbia burner, gas burner. We did a swap out for this customer, and I'm like, holy shit, what am we
Yeah.
like? What are we doing? This is crazy. But it was really much more simple than I thought. I did a lot of research on it, a lot of reading on it. I had the reps come out, I had the factory come do the startup, and the commissioning, but yeah, it's a lot of boilers, a lot of heat. Our heating season is probably from November to March, and then cooling season. I mean, not even like there's a lot of shoulder season. Like
Okay.
September, October is the shoulder, and then you have even November too, and then you have April and May, maybe a little March. March is a little shoulder too, but our summer season, our real cooling season is only, gosh, I mean, we'll only have 90-degree weather for like 2 weeks, maybe
Yeah,
two
because
weeks.
it's funny just talking to people like doing this show, and even the guys on HVAC nights, like, oh, well, they're more in the south, so they kind of get it. But like Curtis was like, "How are you getting 100-degree weather in March?" I'm like, "I don't know.
It's wild.
March, April, it's 100 degrees already."
Gosh, it would be great to be a contractor where the cooling season is 10 months
I
old.
tell
I
people
know.
like if you, because some people are like, "Oh, I'm thinking about going to Texas and working there," and I'm like, "Dude, there's so much work here just for the cooling season, right? It's all year
Yeah.
round. Our slow season technically is like November, December, maybe January. And
Okay.
in that instance, we do maintenance, or I do recommend people that get into like my line of work, which is refrigeration, like for restaurants and stuff. learn the hot side because that will keep you busy like all year round if that's if that's the kind of company you want to be. But
Mhm.
I keep myself busy doing a lot of maintenance. Refrigeration work is always that doesn't depend on the weather. It's like coolers or freezers, stuff like that. So I stay busy. But
Yeah.
yeah, our shoulder season, all that is like it's a very short period, I guess.
Nice. That's nice. Don't worry too much. When we get our shoulder season, like even now we're about to hit August. Like I don't know if we have another week of 90-degree weather coming up. I think that was it. We had like 2 weeks in July, and that was it. Now it's going to be 85 for the next 2 weeks now, and usually August would be like, all right, take vacation in August.
Oh yeah.
All the air conditioners are fixed, everything's replaced, any emergencies are taken care of. It's like you get this like quiet moment, and it's like, oh, go away for the weekend.
That was me. That was me last week. I took a little mini vacation, but I try to do it. I still try to
Nice.
do them over the weekend because our week can get very hectic, right? But
Yeah,
I kind of caught up, right? All the stuff I quoted out, I crammed it and got it all done. I'm like, okay, now is my time to get away with the family and try and get a little time away and stuff.
yeah,
And usually that's us too. Is like August is usually the best time to do that. But like I don't know, the kids really wanted to go to the beach and stuff, and we took them out. And
that's awesome. That that and
and
it's awesome to get that time,
oh yeah,
because I don't know. Up until like when I started my business, my summers were just completely blown out. I was just, I mean, even this is the. I told my wife, I said, this is the first July I've had time. Like I think we went to the beach twice this July. I'm
it's
like, "Ugh,
yeah.
this is wild."
We took a road trip early, and I want to say it was in June, just because I also caught up that week. Now, I mean, we were still busy. I felt kind of bad leaving, but like I had planned this like little road trip that we took, and it was
You
great.
got to, yeah, you
I
got to.
felt great getting a couple of vacations in already, right? And
Awesome.
I can do that because I work for myself. Obviously, you do too. And that's what I tell people is like, there's other people that have asked me like, what it's like, starting a business and stuff like that. And I'm
Mhm.
like, it's a lot of late nights. It's a lot of like you're still in your first years of hustling and doing all that stuff too. But eventually you get that time. It's weird. Like you're pressed for time. You have late nights. You stay up. You do invoicing. You do quoting. You do
Oh,
trying to get business. All
yep,
that stuff.
yep,
But
yep,
you also have you're your own boss. You have the authority to give yourself time off, right? Like
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
both. It's like a lot of time, but then you get time off.
Yep, yep. Like recently, what I've been doing is like I have a full time tech working for us, and a full time junior mechanic, and they'll work together. And I'll send them out on calls, and I'll go to take like I'll send them to one side of Long Island, and I'll take the other side of Long Island. And then by the time we're done, we're heading back to the shop. We're all done. But that gives me like a moment to say, okay, I have to go back to the shop and do some office work. I got to do some estimating. You take this call. You take
I'm
that. Like as soon as you're done with this one, you take that call. And it's like I get back and I'm like, oh, thank gosh, I could catch up on this because I really had to send this estimate out. They want to get this done now. Like if I waited till tomorrow,
yeah.
what if they sold the equipment already and they didn't do the approval fast? I don't know. It's just
Oh man, no, we've lost. You lose the bids that you don't bid on. I mean, it's just as simple as that. Because
yep.
we've had recently, like, because my dad does more of the bids than I do. I still quote out the stuff that I find, but he does all the bigger bids and stuff.
Mhm.
And there was a couple of times where there's miscommunication between us, and I'm like, yeah, I recommended a new unit or whatever it was, and then he's like, oh well, he's like, you know what, we probably didn't get it because I didn't bid it in time or whatever it was, and
Oh, yeah.
stuff like that happens. Like I'm horrible at it. I end up doing mine late at night because I don't even want to look at my phone. I think I have like 40 invoices to send out right now, and I'm like,
Yeah.
damn it, I just got it down, and then like it's because our hot side is really busy right now too. So like
Okay.
I was like I got them all down, right? I got them all sent out, everything, and then like I check it a few days later and there's like 40 more there. I'm like, shit, okay.
Yep. Yep.
Because
Yeah. And
we deal with like
paperwork.
restaurants, light commercial. A lot of them have their own system, which throws me off a little bit because they got to. There's one in particular that we finish the job, we invoice it, whatever. They use a website to dispatch, right, and all that. So then I got to get
Is
on
this
the
the national account? Is this like
yeah.
okay? I've dealt with a lot of national accounts, and I understand what you're saying. It's tough,
They
and then
it's because
they
they switched to a new one, which I think is a little different because before it was like it was called Corrigo. Now it's a Verify or something. So it's like it's how they dispatch, right? They you get an email, there's a call, whatever it is. You have to get there, sign in through the website, sign out through the website, invoice, send your invoice through that website. But after that, like before you can bill, after that they gotta approve it at the job location. Then it has to get approved through their whoever's like higher headquarters, whatever it is, and
yeah.
then I can go and bill it. So I gotta wait in between, and then I forget. I'm very forgetful.
That's okay. That's a process that I would forget too. That's all right. I would be
Yeah,
like, oh, dang, I would probably end up spending like a couple hours with whoever I have to talk to and be like, hey, I have X, Y, and Z. I'm sending to you right now. Get the approval for
yeah,
me.
because like the other one that we have is another national account, but they just require us to email their billing department, right? So like when
Hmm.
the job's done, it's just emailed out. It's simple. This one,
Yeah.
the job's done, but like I won't be able to bill it for like a few days because I got to wait for them all that approval. I forgot how
Now,
it look. I forgot how it looks, but like if I go to the website, it's like first level approval, second level approval. Like there's a couple of levels I have to wait on their end, and then I can bill it.
isn't it so funny how big it is? Like that management system that they have, like these property managers that hire, that are representing these like Fortune 500 companies, these property management companies. It's like so much going on.
It's so
Um,
much, and then they get upset. They're like, "Why hasn't this been done or that been done?" I'm like, "Well, I'm waiting for the damn request, or I'm waiting for an approval." Like all that stuff gets lost on their end too.
like I was never a residential guy. I didn't spend any time in my 9 to 5 career doing residential work. I would do like side work like for neighbors or family members or family friends and stuff like that. And like they would tell this neighbor would tell their coworker, and it just like kind of grew doing the residential stuff. But I never was residential. And coming out here and starting my business on Long Island, I stopped working in the city. I said, I'm not going in the city anymore. I'm going to find the commercial work out here, do it all out here, and build a nice, a nice commercial industrial business out here. And what I found was like these big companies don't want to speak to like some guy that just started, some young guy who just started his business. Like it's really difficult to convince them to like
Yeah,
switch over, or like, hey, you have some, I saw these. I would drive by a building and I'd see like this big old air cooled chiller, like this big old like old Yorker train, and I'm like, that thing's definitely got leaks. Like I'm gonna go knock on the front door right now and see
yeah,
if they need help with it.
yeah. Like when you start, it's a lot of hustling and stuff. Like we went door to door, got small restaurants, and then built our name up and
Okay,
did it
and
and did it that way.
yeah, and what I was saying about the residential was I had to fill in my time with residential work because this commercial stuff was, and then it was net 30, and it was like, all right, I got a couple good commercial customers, but I don't have enough. And so residential is, right away, you get paid right away. It's upon receipt. The person's got a check for you, the woman or husband. Here's the check. Thanks for starting my AC up. We're so thankful you took care of us.
Yeah,
Take the money and have a good day. And it's like great, but with that I had to go get, I had to get licensed in the residential side, because the city is another, it's a madhouse over there. I think there's a contractor's license you need, but like I don't think, there's not much that you need to be a HVAC contractor in New York City. I mean, you could really just
yeah.
drive a van
I've
doing
heard.
work. Yeah. So, and even out here, I'm like, look, I'm starting a commercial company. I'm looking for a license. And some guy told me, he's like, look, you're doing commercial industrial work. There's been commercial industrial guys that run their mechanical business for 15, 20 years before they come looking for a license, because they really only need their license to pull a permit. And I'm like,
mm,
I'm like,
yeah,
all right, so like this is starting to get really gray. Like, I really just need to, like, I'm not going to run a business without a license. I really don't care what you guys are telling me. I'm going to apply anyway because I would like to do residential work. And I'm not getting caught in a gray area. I'm running a business. I have guys working. This is my,
Honestly, I probably didn't need to get mine either, but I got mine right after I got out, and
yeah.
I had somebody that I could ride with to get the experience and all that, and immediately I got it. And
Nice.
I got my EPA, I got my license, I got everything I needed, and I
Yeah.
know there's guys around here that run around without a license. And
Yeah.
if you know, it's unfortunate, but if you know the right people, you make friends at the supply house, they will sell you whatever they want.
But
And
I have them hanging all here. These are all the license I ended up getting. There's three of them. The other ones are just certificates. But the three, it's a restricted plumber, restricted electrical, and home improvement license. And then there's a couple ductwork licenses that go through
oh, okay.
the townships.
Yeah,
But there's no actual like HVAC contractor's license in New York. It's really pieced together through a few different ones.
yeah, even around here, we had one that had the audacity to say, "Can you do the job on the weekend? Why do you have to pull a
Mm,
permit?" I'm like,
mm.
"No." It's like we do it this way. We're gonna quote it out with the permit and everything.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, yeah, I know.
And sometimes you lose a job, but it's whatever. I'm not gonna get, like you said, I'm not gonna get caught. I mean, it's my business. And my dad
Right.
was the same way. He's like, "No, like we're doing things the right way. We're licensed, we're insured. If
Yeah.
they
Oh,
want to get somebody and get caught. Today's episode is also brought to you by NAVIEN. If you haven't seen it yet, NAVIEN has entered the HVAC space in a big way with the new NPF hydro furnace. This hydronic forced air furnace delivers industry-leading variable capacity operation from 15 to 100% in both natural and propane configurations. You can learn more at navieninc.com. And DIVERSITECH, they simplify your work. They have everything that a technician needs to get a job done. I do want to point out that they do have a Simplify Your Summer Challenge. I will leave all the information in the description. If you go over to their Instagram, this challenge is basically a chance to win an ultimate HVACR bundle with over 25 unique products from their DIVERSITECH lineup. This includes Hillmore, Swoosh, the Spin Bits. They have the Pro Thermostats. They have the Master Care cleaning solutions. They have so many products. All you have to do to enter is share your work with at least 3 products from any of their lineups in a reel or post and tag them and include the hashtag Simplify Your Summer. So go check that out, go enter, and thanks again for sponsoring the channel and doing this awesome summer giveaway from DIVERSITECH.
Yeah, speaking of insurance, I mean, geez, it's been, I don't know about you guys, but insurance, they just give them a reason to jack up the insurance and they will rob you.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
just it's insane. I did I had bought a Nissan NV200 in December and I crashed it in February. 2 months after, a week after I got it lettered, I rear-ended some lady who was stopped, dead stopped in a merging lane on the highway. And as I'm merging, because in the vans you got to look over your left shoulder, and I'm like trying to look through like the blind spot in the van, and I saw her take off, so I took off, and I'm
Yeah,
like, all right,
I've had
everyone's
a
going.
couple of close ones like that. Yeah.
Luckily, I was driving, not one of my guys, and
Yeah.
and luckily the woman was okay, thank God. But the van ended up being a total loss, and my auto insurance company dropped me for it. They said the loss ratio was too big. We can't cover it. We're dropping you. I'm like, and I have an insurance
Like, what the hell is
agent.
the insurance for?
Yeah, I'm like, what's going on here? This is like, yeah, why would I pay for insurance if you're not even gonna like, have my back, right? You're gonna
Yeah.
just drop me. And they're like, well, you're too young, and your account is too young. You haven't put enough money in it to cover this total loss. And it was only like $20,000. Those NV200s are like 20 grand. They're not like a Transit. A Transit's 40, 50 grand right now.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I'm like, it's not that much. I don't understand. And so I went back to my agency. He's like, let me get another quote. He comes back with another quote. $63,000 a year for auto insurance for two vans.
Oh, okay.
And
I was like, damn.
and I was like, you kidding
Yeah.
me? I'm paying it less than 1,000 a month right now for all my two vans to be on the road. You think I'm going to pay $5,000 a month? This is going to put me out of business. I don't know what
I
to do
know.
with, like, crazy. This could potentially put me out of business. And he's or like just stop altogether and go back to one van. And he's like, well, we have another company we work with. And I get on the phone with the owner of the insurance agency because I know him well. I'm like, Matt, you gotta, like, come on, bro. It's got to be something. He's like, he has a friend at State Farm that can help us out. I call up State Farm and they're like, oh, you don't need this kind of policy. The commercial auto policy you have covers special equipment vans. Do you have like a crane on the back of your van? I'm like, no, it's just cargo vans.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, okay, here you go. Here's a quote. And it, because of my accident, it still increased.
Yeah.
And it was, I have the other guys on it too. So it was like an increase of like 25%. And I'm like, I'm, that's much better than five thousand
Then
dollars a month. I am good with 25% a month more. Send it. Let's get it going. But that was,
freaking, yeah, freaking insurance more than the cost of the vehicles.
yeah. So, between licensing and insurance and stuff and all the things around, just not even, and I'm not even fixing an air conditioner yet. I'm just, this is, what we do for a living is fixing air conditioners, and we have to go around all this stuff to make sure that we can
Oh
be
yeah.
a service provider,
That yeah. Some people I think jump into it too quick. You got to make sure you think about all the cost that comes with it. And I
Yep.
even have that conversation with people who are like, because I made memes about the $2,000 capacitor, but like I'm like, it's just a
Yeah.
joke. Take it easy. But I'm
Right,
like,
right,
we're not going to go out there and charge you just like 10, $20, right? I mean, there's costs in the vehicle, the insurance,
right,
gas,
right.
everything.
A lot goes behind it. Yeah. Years of experience and kind of like pushing and
Yeah, because
dealing.
I hate when they're like, oh, it only took you so long, so many minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. I'm like, like it took me a while to get to this position because before it would have, if I'm new or whatever, like I'm taking an hour. If I'm doing this 10, 15 years, it's going to take me a lot less
Yeah,
time. You can't punish
yeah.
me for being better at it.
Right, right. Just because we do it quick doesn't mean we didn't do it right. Just because we're efficient doesn't
Yeah.
mean it's done improperly. It's just we we learned what tools to buy. I mean,
Oh,
on its,
I've been
you
buying
know,
a lot of tools recently, and it's just making my job so much quicker. And I'll get into that right now, but like real quick, when you mentioned the car accident, I had I think I posted about it, but I haven't made a big deal yet. I'm waiting for an email back, but
okay.
I had my van ran into when it was just parked in front of my house.
Oh my gosh, I think I saw the pictures. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, dude, are you kidding me? It was I took a Friday off and I had a Amazon delivery.
Right.
The only bad thing is I didn't catch him like in the act, but I was like right after I went because I saw him pull up, I saw him get down, like I visibly saw him, and I was like, whatever, I don't think anything of it, right? They're gonna leave a package, I'll go and get it in a minute, and I go out there to get it, like I don't know, 30 minutes later, and I'm like, there's a huge ass dent in the front of
Oh,
my van. There's pieces of his tail light on the floor. I'm like, okay, and I saw that he parked right in front of it, right? And I'm
mhm.
like, I know he backed up into it and then he just took off. Like, I'm like, dude, and he didn't say nothing. He just took off. So like, I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just a bumper, but now
Mhm.
my van looks like shit. And then some of the wrap is scratched, right? That's what,
Oh,
that's what
oh,
annoyed
man.
me. Cause I had to call the sheriff out here. Cause I'm out here in the country and I'm like, I mean, I don't want to cause any trouble, right? I just want it fixed. I just want it paid for.
Right.
Um, and I told him, I'm like, dude, I just got it wrapped. I'm really annoyed with that part of it too.
Oh, dude, that's what's scary about wraps. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
because
I know.
Jake had got his right before I did, and I
Dude,
think
his looks good. Yeah, I saw that. That looks
that
slick.
one is awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
he said somebody. I forgot. I don't know if somebody opened. Oh, somebody opened the car door and like just hit the shit out of it. And he's like, dude, he's like, it's a little scratch, but I know it's gonna bubble up, and like it's a whole thing
Yeah.
when you get it wrapped.
Yeah, I have a white, paint pen that like all I have on me in my van. So like when I get a scratch, I go and I put some paint right over it because I'm
Yeah,
like,
because like right now I'm looking at my van, I'm like, oh man, the wrap looks awesome, nice, and then you see it from the front, I'm like, man, it looks like shit over here.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Those vans get beat up. They do get beat up. I mean, it sucks. And like somebody must have like came in and like hit the transit I have, and like the whole side of the transit looks great, right? I don't have any wraps. It's just lettered, but
yeah,
it's nice and clean. I have like I constantly wash the truck. I always put new hubcaps on, so like
okay.
even the hubcaps get dirty and like a crack on them. I just have a pack in my garage. I just put new hubcaps on because I'm like I just want them to be fresh and new. Because when you see a truck with new hubcaps and new, it looks clean.
Hey man,
It's nice. It's
yeah, looks are part of the job. I've told people, unfortunately, you got to look the part. You got to look, you know,
yeah,
your whether it's your uniform or the van. Like, would you like as a customer, would you want somebody in a crusty old van pulling up to your house or
right.
business, and you're
Right.
like, oh
Sitting outside your, $1 million house with
yeah,
a beam they bought on for 5 grand, with the bumpers falling off.
yeah, you got to look the part.
Yeah, yeah. It feels good too. It really feels nice. Like when you show up clean, your van's clean, the insides. When you open up the van doors and like people are like walking by, I'm like,
Oh yeah.
"Yeah, look at my van. It's clean.
I think I finally finished mine because I have been like tweaking it a little bit, and I'm like super happy with it right now. But
Right.
I always love seeing people's vans like when they post them and stuff. So like, because I know some people give us crap like, oh that's not a real van. Like, try doing, or you probably don't work. I'm like, no, I do. It's just I put everything back, or at the end of the day, I'll clean it, whatever it is. And
Mhm.
I just like a clean van too, because
It takes a few.
I've been there when I started. I was a messy tech. I could not find anything in my van, and it would always frustrate me.
Yeah, yeah, it's really frustrating when like if I spend like a week not cleaning and then I'm like, oh crap, like I I gotta dig through this pile and look for like my scale. It's somewhere down there. I know it's not on the shelf where it should be. It's down on the floor somewhere.
Or you have this expensive equipment, and you're gonna beat the crap out of it or break it.
Yeah. That goes for like micron gauges. Like I have bags. I made bags in each van of like hoses, micron gauges, core removers, nylog, all
Okay.
these little like things, that go in that, and they kind of like made the backpacks with the regulator, nitrogen regulators, everything in one. And the micron gauge, when it's not put back in like the slot in the back of the VETO bag, and it's laying on the floor, I'm like, that's a $300 micron gauge. Like you realize you're just throwing like a regulator on it, and I'm like, what am I
Yeah.
talking about? I don't know.
No,
It's,
and
it's
somebody told, because I had done a video recently on I had the JB manifold, and I ended up breaking the sides of it, and they're like, why would you? Well, thankfully it was sent out to me. I was just testing it out, but
nice,
uh,
nice.
when I looked up the price, I'm like, damn, it's $700. Because I remember buying like manifolds for like 500
Yeah.
few years ago. Everything's gone up so much. Even the probes have gone up from like, because I did a video on the probes, or not a full video, but I remember mentioning that they were like 450 or something like that when they first came out. The
Yep.
field, I think
Yeah.
the field piece ones. Now they're
Yeah.
like 600-700 bucks.
Back when the Testo, you remember when the Testo probes first came out? Like they were like one of the first companies to really
Yeah.
like a popular probe set, and it was the two probes and the temperature probes, and you get it in the case and you open it up and like they're in the foam,
Oh yeah.
or the straps. And uh I think those were like going for like 280 or like $300 for the four of them. And I
Dang.
remember a couple guys at the company I was working with in the city, they were like, I bought them first, and then I was the first one there buying them. And they were
Okay.
like, no, these are sick, Richie. How much are they? I'm like, yo, they're like $300. And they're like, oh man. But then someone saw them on Amazon and told all the guys, they all bought them on Amazon. I think they were on sale for like 250 or 40
Yeah.
on sale. And they all bought them. But it was, gosh, you get both. Now, if you want two pressure probes and two temperature probes, it's $600.
That's what
I
I'm
think.
saying, man. I'm like, how the hell I didn't even know they went up that much. Like I bought my stuff a while back, like where I
Mhm.
got it for like 4 or whatever it was. And then like I do videos every now and then, and I gotta fact check myself because I want to say a price, but then I'm like everything has changed in the past couple of years, and
Yeah.
even with those manifolds, I was like, damn, $700, and
Yeah.
I laid them in the back of the van, and I had one of those days where I just threw all
There's
my stuff in the back, right, and
yeah.
they broke, and I'm like, damn, okay, so like I figured out because I was like, my fill piece never did that, right? But my fill piece, I noticed they have metal in the little where you put the clamps, the little ears.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
have metal in it. That's why they won't break. These are just
Oh.
plastic. I'm like, man, they broke really easily. So I've done
Yeah.
that. I did when I first started. Like I said, being a messy tech, I did throw my very first S mans, like the old ones,
Mhm.
one of the first generations. My dad was real happy to get them for me. You know, I had just started and everything, and I'm like, oh, okay, you know, it's cool. I wasn't super into it at the time, and then yeah, I laid them in the back, and something fell on it. I broke the screen,
Oh wow. Oh
and
no.
he's like, oh, dude, he was so mad. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what to tell you, but like that.
Yeah.
Now I think about that, right? I don't want anything laying on the floor. I don't want anything to
Mm-mm.
get broken because, like you said, $300 micron gauge, a $700 manifold. Because somebody in my comments on the JB one that I mentioned, he's like, "Why would you lay down a $700 uh, gauge like that?" And I'm like, "Well, I mean, I had a long day. I'm sorry."
Yeah, yeah, sometimes, like, you just throw it in the back and go, you just don't think of it like anything's gonna happen. Yeah, it just
But
happens.
now you
Things
got to
happen.
think. Now you got to think about the price to replace it.
Yeah, yeah, and, it's like we have multiple 2 vans on the road, 2 sets of everything,
Oh,
and
I know, I know.
yeah,
And
yeah.
my brother has the luxury of me always buying tools, so then he gets all my hand me downs, right? So like he has my old tubing expander, my old everything
Yeah.
that I liked, but then I ended up
Mhm.
I just recently got into the all the NAVAC battery stuff, right? I just got the battery powered bender that I'm excited to try out too. Like I got all that stuff just because I like making
The
it easier.
The NAVAC one is fantastic. I bought it like a year ago, and I don't touch any other bender anymore. It's just it's not the NAVAC tools are like
Dude, like
revolutionary. I don't know how
I
I could
know.
ever live without the NAVAC tools. Like I'll see Frank, the mechanic that works for us, he'll pull out his bender, and I'm like, dude, why don't you go in the truck and grab the NAVAC one? And he goes, oh yeah, I just, and I'm like, why wouldn't you ever want to use that? Like I use it all the time. And he's like, I'm used to this one. This is the one like that, like fits like me. I just feel like I like work it. I can work it better.
I had the Hillmore one, and on bigger pipes it would get jammed and stuff. So like I always got annoyed with it, but like I was used to it, so I just like I knew how to work around it. I knew how to use it, I guess. But
Yeah.
it was still annoying. I will
Yeah.
say when they had like an event thing here at my local Insco, and Navac was there, and they had all their tools, right? And I was
Mhm.
complaining about my bender or something, and they're like, "Have you tried ours?" And I didn't know they had a hydraulic one, right? So they have the pump one.
Yeah.
That thing, I don't know how they made a hydraulic one that good, where it's like it bent. We were doing like I think we were doing 7/8 or something, and it bent it like butter. I was like, holy
No kidding.
crap! No
Oh my,
jamming, no
and like
jamming. Nothing got
yeah,
stuck.
squeezing. Yeah. It doesn't
And
get
it
stiff or
was real easy to pump. It was real easy to get it to release, and I pulled it out,
nice.
and I'm like, how? I was like, mine always. I always have to beat mine with a hammer to get it out.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's tough, the bending that copper with those benders. The Navac bender is way, way easier. Just makes
Well,
life easier.
I will say,
It,
like, you can't go wrong if you get their hydraulic or their battery powered one. They both do really well.
yeah.
Because I think they're trying to
Another,
get into more, like, they're trying to expand their lines, right? They're known for the battery powered stuff, but I think they're trying to expand, like, making sure everybody's covered, like, whether you
yeah.
want to pay the
They
big bucks or get the simpler stuff.
they have that swedging tool, the hydraulic, not the hydraulic, the battery powered swedging tool, and they also have a handheld, a little handheld swedging tool. It's like a super old school, like there's
Yeah,
nothing.
I didn't know they made that. I saw that.
Yeah, it was like $35 or $30 or something. And like one day, I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna throw that in my bag. It just looks like it would be, and it saved my ass a couple times, like just having it in the bag, because
So it
I
works
didn't have a.
pretty good.
Yeah, it works good. It's for what it
Cause
is.
I
It's tough to swipe
Yeah,
with
cause
your.
like for me, sometimes I don't want to bust out the big tube expander for like, cause I do a lot of small stuff. So like 1/4 inch or 3/8. Sometimes I just need to make a quick connection. And I saw that, I'm like, I wonder how well that works. But after trying their other stuff, I think it's probably, I'm probably gonna have to pick it up too. How
Yeah,
long
go
have
ahead.
you been in the trades?
I started May 2013 in the field. In the field, I started May 2013. I went to community college for occupational studies in electrical service technician as electrical service technician.
You wanted
So
to
I did it.
be an electrician?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep, yep. I was looking to be an electrician. I had this whole 10-year plan in my mind, what I was going to do for when I was like 20 years old, and I was like, I'm just going to go to trade school and become an electrician, make 60 grand a year, and start a family, and that'll be that. I'll just be an electrician. I'm okay with that. And I ended up, uh, I ended up, and the school I went to, in the community college, they taught us a lot of control work. A lot of PLCs, ladder logic, and it was all like Alan Bradley stuff, um, and then we were building computers. So it was a lot of like technical stuff. It wasn't just residential, wiring, electrical, classes. It was much, much deeper. And uh, I ended up meeting a guy before I graduated. I met a guy who did centrifugal chiller work in the city, and he was like he was just a genius. He was redoing the control work. He would gut this centrifugal in the basement of like this 50-story building. He got
Mhm.
the pneumatic controls, and he'd install his own PLC panel with a touchscreen monitor with all these transducers, and him and his partner designed the controls and everything about them. And they had like a
Hmm.
programmer put it together, but they designed everything from scratch. And I meet him, and he's like, "Oh, controls. This is great." This is how I ended up talking to him. He's like, "Oh, I need somebody that can help us with this control stuff and write the ladder logic. If you know that, and if you could you put together um, can you put together a schematic for us for an oil return pump on the bottom? I think on one of these I'm not sure. I ended up not learning too much about chillers, but I think
Okay.
it's like on one of the bottom of the barrels. There's an oil return anyway. They have this job. They need a schematic written for this oil pump, and I'm like spring break in my last semester, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take a look at it. I called him up. I was like, look, I really don't know what I'm doing. He goes, you want to come out and work? I'll come out and I'll show you the machine. I was like, sure. So like
Okay.
spring break, I went back, back home, and I end up going into the city and working with these guys, working on these chillers, and they're like running out IFM sensors. So I'm running out these wires. I'm hooking up these transducers, and I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever done. This is like insane. Like this unit, I'm standing on like the evaporator barrel. I'm walking along the evaporator barrel of this chiller. I'm thinking this is like I want to do this. Like when I get out
Okay.
of here, I'm not going to do any controls. I'm not going to be an electrician. I want to do something like this. Like this is really really neat.
So you kind of dipped into the industrial stuff right away, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what you ended up liking.
Yeah, and what ended up happening was through the rest of the so I went back to the rest of the semester back to college, and he's like, call me when you get out and we'll start you. I'm like, all right. And I called him. I'm like, look, I'm gonna be home, the day after Memorial Day I could start, 2013. And he's like, all right. And then I call him up the next week just to make sure we're still on for start. And he's like, look, we're a little slow. I have a sister company. Oh no, what ended up happening? No, I was like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I don't know. I told him, I was like, look, I'm going to start, but I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I want
Hmm.
to start with you, but I don't know what the heck I'm doing. And, and I don't know what I'm touching. I don't know what any of these controls are. And, and he's like, all right, well, if you want to know a little bit more before you come on board, work for our sister company that does like unitary equipment. You know, they handle this guy handled all the big chillers in the building, but he started a sister company to do all the unitary stuff in between, the hallway units and the lobby units and the tenants units and things like that. So he's like, go work for him for a little while, get to know the industry, and then come back and work for me. And I ended up working for his sister company for 8 years, and I never went back to the chiller work. I just liked what I was doing with them, and they treated me right, and
Yeah.
it was a nice corroboration
And then
collaboration.
what made you want to start your business?
Um, it's I kind of always had it in the back of my mind that I wanted to be a business owner, kind of
Did
from
you do accounting or something before?
yeah, yeah. So I
Okay, so
was
then that was always there, I
yeah.
guess.
Yeah, yeah. I was doing accounting. So originally I was going to be an accountant, and then and then I dropped out of school for that because I was like, I can't. I don't have my ADD is way too bad for this. I'm never going to get through this in my at like 19, 20 years old. And so yeah, and then what ended up happening was, my dad was an entrepreneur. My dad had a car service company. He had two of them in New York City. In like, my dad was a little older in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. He was he owned a cab service, and in his business, he started off with 5 cabs, and at the end of his career, he had 100 cabs. So he built a pretty substantial business. He had 400 drivers for him. Running a 24/7 car service. And then things changed in New York City. They came out with a whole bunch of regulations. Uh, he ended up closing up the business. He got older. He just sold everything.
Okay.
So, but I grew up going to his shop. I grew up, he had an auto body shop. He had, his dispatchers. He had his office people and stuff. So I was, as a kid, I was always going into Queens with him and like going and hanging out in his office and talking to the mechanics and talking to hanging out with they're painting and stuff, and I'd be hanging out there, and they're like, "All right, Richie, we got to paint. You got to get the hell out of here, man." I'm like, messing
Did you
around.
ever get
Running.
into the mechanic stuff?
No, not really. I mean, me and him fixed a couple cars together. We
Okay.
changed some like head gaskets on a car, that he had bought me when I was a kid.
Because
And
my
then
my grandpa was a mechanic. He taught all his kids how to work on cars. So I got a little bit of that when I went to hang out, and I went to
yeah,
go hang out because he had like a shop at his house at one point, and I would
yeah,
go over, be in the shop, hang around. Um, and then my dad and a couple of my uncles are really into classic cars, so we got into that too. We started fixing up like these old cars,
yeah.
and I have one right now that I just need to get it fixed, but it's a 62 Pontiac, and I can't wait to get that on the road again because it broke down on me. But
Nice.
I grew up
Yeah,
around cars a lot, and then even going back to your electrician conversation, that my dad was an electrician. That's what he started at.
nice,
So
nice.
then he
Yeah,
he moved over to food service, but yeah.
and it's funny how the HVAC trade is a little bit of everything, and it's almost like if the electricians that are going to be really good like can do something else too. Like if you can really grasp controls, electrical stuff, and a little bit of plumbing, you can grasp the mechanicals of all these little things, a little bit of car stuff. You can grasp all the mechanicals of this stuff.
Oh
You
yeah.
can do HVAC really well because HVAC is very mechanical. Everything you touch has an effect.
Hmm.
Anything you move, anything you put out of place, you leave a panel with a loose screw and a half an inch of space off the panel. You don't tighten the panel. The mechanicals of the system is completely screwed. It's
Yeah.
never going to work right. If you leave the panel open a little bit or something like that. So, um, I
It's like
think,
me having to constantly remind my customers on like these reach-in coolers, like do not block the airflow. Like you're gonna screw the whole thing up. Then I get a
yeah,
nuisance call for iced up coils.
And people are like, "What's airflow? What do you mean it needs airflow?"
Like, what do you mean we
What?
just, stuff the hell out of it?
Yeah, yeah.
No,
So
but
it's
that's a good point because my dad has had that mindset, right? He was an electrician. He got a job opportunity to do food service, and he's like, hell yeah, I can learn that. I can do that. And he applied what he already knew to learn that, and he just, I mean, he got in the books, and he was always doing
nice.
trainings and stuff like that, and he won an award there. It's like
Oh my,
it's a company that's in Texas, right? They're all over Texas, and I don't think they're outside of Texas, but they're a big company here in Texas. And he got
yeah,
Service Tech of the Year. He got into
nice.
it, got
Yeah,
that, worked his way up to management. He just did not like being in the office, so then he started his own thing. So that's how that happened.
that's awesome. Yeah,
And
that's
I took that mindset from him because I'm like, because he would tell me too, like if you don't know, if you see something that you don't know, you've never seen before, you don't know how to work on it, he's like, you can figure it out. He's like, just
Mhm.
take it slow,
Right.
figure it out, and you'll get it.
Right. Read the manual. Read when you
Oh,
read. When you read
I
the
used to
manual.
do that all the time. I would take the manuals even from the if we put in a system or anything like that, I would take it home with me and read it.
Yeah, and I'll read a manual and be like, wow, they asked for that. That's actually pretty interesting. That makes a lot of sense. That's probably why X, Y, and Z didn't work last time because that's what they're asking on this. Whatever. But it's
I
just
do
funny.
that. I do that all the time, and I just recently had one where I called tech support for something, and I'm like, I pulled up the manual. I was
Mhm.
like, I read it front to back, and I had questions for them, and they're like, oh, but this was a unique situation because they're like, oh, that's not in the manual. But then they explained to me how a certain controller worked and stuff.
And that's like with this Daikin project, the VRV system. I'm like, I sat down and read the manual for like 4 hours just because I was like, you know what, I'm just going to read this thing. I'm going to see what the heck's going on with it. I wanted to see how to. I had to open the EEVs. Like I wanted to open the EEVs for the air handler so I can make sure to blow it out properly.
Oh yeah,
And I'm like, nothing's telling me how to open these EEVs. Maybe I could do it through the. I have to power up the condenser, but and then I'm like, wait, let me see what happens if I just put nitrogen through the system. If the EEVs are open, it's
okay,
only a two pipe air handler. I'm going to put air through the unit. Let me see what happens. And it was full flow. It was full flow right through it. So I'm like,
yeah.
oh,
You,
I,
it's probably the same on what the ones I see like on the walk-in boxes and stuff. They ship normally open until you apply power to it, then they're gonna close.
ah,
I
yeah, that's
forgot I got somebody gave me the lingo on it. I forgot how it
but
works, but I know when
that's like
they're
yeah.
new because I've had a equipment that I've and people still thank me for the videos because I film stuff even when I'm struggling, right?
Mhm.
And I had an EEV that we thought failed because I even called tech support and they were like, yeah, change out the EEV. But the thing is, it was stuck open. So like, no, this one was stuck closed. So like, a power was applied and then like it never opened back up. So that we had a board failure, which is long story short. But then I noticed when they had me replace the EEV, this was before I knew it was a board. Now we had it where it never closed, right? So that's kind of how I learned that they will close during like this during something that it does on startup, and then but they're shipped open. So like the old one stuck closed because it failed during like a uh during the system running. But then
Mhm.
when I put the new one in, that one was stuck open because like the board would just never send out signal. So that's how
Yeah.
I learned how they're open or close, and I'm like, oh, okay, because the first time it would always pump
Mhm.
down, the second time it would never shut off.
Yeah, that's a tough one to diagnose. It's like a back and forth and trying to
So
run around.
now I know, and that's one of those things that we can go
Yeah.
back to as far as like experience. Now I know because I've told my guys, if you
Yeah.
see this issue, if we do a couple of these tests, don't even think about it. Change out the board, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. Yeah.
I already know.
Yeah. All these relays and then you hear like and then once weird stuff starts to happen, like I'll be there for like an hour. Like, what the hell's going on? Like, I checked and ohmed out,
Yeah,
whatever. I checked
I had that too.
everything that's right, and I'm like, you know what? This is crazy. This is the board. This is not me. I'm not doing anything wrong. This board's driving me crazy. and
I
it's
had
driving me
I had one
down a different
exactly like
road.
that, and I ended up doing a video on it because I wasn't even recording that day, just
Yeah.
to explain it to other guys because I had another walk-in box that the customer wanted installed. Right, they bought it, we installed it. I'm not familiar with this brand, and it was all electronic. The stupid thing just would not go under like 45 degrees. It was a cooler. And I'm like, what is going on? You know, I did everything the right way. I even like took out the charge and waited back in just to double check
Oh,
because
yeah.
we had a hiccup during vacuum. We didn't have all the valves open, so I'm like, did we screw something up? You know?
Right.
And then finally, because like that's why I'm currently getting another set of probes because I do a lot of like startups where I'm like, I need to know my pressures on the roof, and I also want to check the superheat in the box because they have a
That's true.
port. They have the port inside, right? And
Yeah.
I hate going back and forth, you know, getting my probes and putting them on down, putting them up on the roof. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna get another set after this situation. But essentially, what happened is I had a transducer bad from factory, so the stupid
Gosh.
transducer was reading like 20 psi off or something like that. So
Wow.
it was not giving me the proper superheat and not
Right.
opening the EEV properly. I'm like, no freaking wonder because it kept icing up, and I'm like, it's acting like a restriction, but I doubt we have a restriction. And I trusted like you said, you're there all day trying to figure it out. I trusted that that thing was working, or that computer was working the way it's supposed to. And then it's the damn it was a bad signal, right?
Jeez.
That's how you learn, and that's why I made the video.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you guys have this issue, do this or always do that. I'm always gonna double check now the readings that I see
Right.
on the board versus mine on startup.
Right. Right. Just because it's a new unit doesn't mean everything, the factory installed everything correctly on it.
No.
Um, a couple Linuxes, I do service work. So there's a national, like this company I do service work for, they deal with the national accounts. And when they need service support for some of these like really nuisance calls, they'll call me in, and like I'll go to like like a Taco Bell or wherever, but they'll install. Can I say the manufacturer's name
Yeah, that's fine.
of the Lennox? It's, I don't know what it is, but recently Lennox units have, and all these ones they've been replacing, the factories like not connecting wires where they should be. Like I found
Hey,
wires off
yeah, I see
of,
weird things too.
yeah, and I'm like, these units are not running, and I'm like, this is a weird call. Like this is a weird, like, why is it giving me like a high pressure, but the high pressure switch is closed, or like uh I don't know, all these weird things, and I'm like, there's wires disconnected, like on the terminal block. There's just a wire hanging loose. I'm like, how is this from the factory? You'd never
No,
think.
and I mean I keep it real. I post my daily stuff sometimes, and
Yeah.
I've had, I think it's commercial. Is it commercial allied? I think it's a Linux branch.
Okay.
It was an RTU. Some customer got all brand new ones on their roof, right? And I went out for a second opinion because I think it was tripping the breaker or something like that. So I found
Mhm.
a compressor that was grounded, and then I started looking, and I realized that because it was an RTU, two stage, two compressors,
Mhm.
and I think they were both heat pumps. So it was like reversing valves. You have all these extra lines, and it
Yeah.
was a really tight spot, like for this compressor compartment. All
Mhm.
the lines were touching, so there ended up being a rub out, and I'm like, these things are brand new. Like, how the hell does that happen? And
Right.
then that compressor that grounded was because it did not have a safety at all. Like, there's no low charge safety on it, low pressure. I'm
Out
like,
of all that technology they put in there, you can't put in a
and I'm like,
switch.
why, right? So I'm there scratching my head, and I'm like, okay, well, you need another compressor, and they had to go through another company, but
Yeah.
I was like, you have a bad compressor, but you also have a leak. You lost all your charge, and this thing has no safety. So, I mean, do with that
Right.
information what you will. I'm just gonna write it up. I Because of the way I am, or I'm curious, I went out to the other units and just opened up the panels, and sure enough, none of them had the same issue, but the lines were rubbing out or about to rub out. So I went and kind of bent out the copper lines as best as I could,
Oh,
just to give them space, right? I didn't want, I was like, I don't want you to have another bad compressor. So that's just, how I dealt with
that's
that.
invaluable. I mean, that kind of service is invaluable, and And it's funny how
And they and,
customers
and
like,
they and they still dropped us, but that's whatever.
that's insane. It's just, there's no loyalty. There's no,
No,
they're
and
never
I
gonna.
will say that customer, it's like I said earlier, it's who you know, right? So we were there as second opinions on several locations because it's another big restaurant. And the other company wanted to change out like 2 or 3 compressors. So they were like, "Hey, this is kind of funny. Can you come and check this?" And this was another. This is not this location. It was another one because this one actually had a bad compressor. But another location, it just had like the filthiest coils I've ever seen here. I washed it out like I'm like no kidding 5 times, and it was still coming out black.
Was that
And
the one you posted recently, like a
no,
couple weeks ago?
no, this was like a couple years ago now, probably.
Okay.
So like the filthiest coil I've ever seen on that other customer that I've been posting recently. I'm trying to send them these videos too because I'm like, hey, you guys need maintenance, but
Yeah.
um, no, that one was
Yeah.
a couple.
Those
Yeah,
are bad ones.
they get really bad. Um, no, that other one was a couple years ago. So we went in there and I was like, okay, you don't need compressors, you just need cleaning, right? Like I can come back, take care of
Right.
all this for you because the guys had disconnected compressors and like condemned them and everything. And I was like, I'll get it going for you. I got one going that day, and I was like, I can get the rest of them going for you. There's no big deal. And I fixed some other stuff at another location that somebody couldn't fix. Like I went around and did. I thought I was doing a pretty good job. The guy that hired us called us because he remembered us, and I recognized him because he was like a cook at somewhere that I used to work at, right? Um,
Hmm.
and he recognized us because we were always real friendly. Like you got to make friends when you're at these businesses, right? Because I always tell people, especially in the restaurant business, you never know the cook, the waiter, they could move up and be managers, one day, right? And
Yeah.
that's how that worked out because he was like, I remember you guys, and he saw our van, our number, and he got us
Yeah.
in that one. And I was like, oh, this is a good account, a lot of money
Nice.
to be made here. And
Right.
he got promoted after we got in, and he left upstate. And the guy that took over for him was buddies with the previous company, so they got back in.
Oh,
So
oh,
it's who you know.
of
That's what
course.
it is.
Yeah. 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 You're right. Yeah. You never know. You never know who's gonna. And then like also even technicians like in the city, a lot of times other techs, they'd call and be like, hey, I now am a building operator, an operating engineer, here. I remember you guys from this building. Can you come in here? And that's how they would do it a lot of times. It'd just be word of mouth. These other guys you run into in the field or in
And
the
it,
industries.
and it's funny because people ask me all the time, like, how do I get work? Or even I've even talked to other guys about it because I'm curious too, and because I get
Mhm.
that question a lot. I'm like, well, mine is word of mouth, right? So I'm like, let me compare it to others, but a lot of people it's word of mouth. It's like
Yeah.
word of mouth, your work speaks for itself, but also like, are you networking, right? Like, are you networking with? I network with other trades, other companies, as long as they're not being dicks about it. But like,
Yeah.
anybody you
Yeah.
can, even the supply houses, they'll give you work sometimes. We got
Yeah.
into warranty work, getting like knowing people, like that's how you get work.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I agree. There's the company I worked for out here for a year during while I was a technician. When I started my business, I went to the owner of that company. I said, "Look, I just want to let you know I started my own business out on Long Island. If you ever need any help with anything, because we left on good terms,
Uh
I
huh.
was out here working for him, and it was a lot of residential stuff. And I came to him one day and I was like, look, I love working for you. He's a great boss and he's got a big heart and he takes care of his guys. But I'm like, I just am not interested in residential. At the time, it was like 2016, 2017, I think. And I'm like, I'm not interested in doing residential work. Like I feel like I'm doing a disservice and not like giving my all because I'm so not interested in doing this all day. And and I was like, I'm going to go back to the city, and I left. And he goes, all right, if anything comes up, we'll talk again. We'll stay in touch. And when I started my business, I went to him and I was like, look, I got my business going. If you need help and support, like I'm here. I can
Yeah.
do whatever you need. Great. Great. We just fired a service tech, so we need some service calls. So you want to take a couple? I'm like, done. Um,
You never know, dude. Cause like the other thing I've been trying to tell people is like, be proud of if you have a business, be proud of it, right? Tell
right.
everybody that you do what you do, HVAC or whatever it is. Cause then
Yeah.
you never know. They're going to be like, oh, I need this or I need that. I had a buddy
Right.
recently that reached out because he is like a project manager for a lot of stuff here, and I think even up north. And
Mhm.
he started giving us work too, and it's like, yeah, I mean, I do this, I do that. Like I advertise it as much as I can.
I just went
All
on a rant on my Instagram the other day with these two calls with companies and guys not knowing how to fix it and people being stuck on who to call. They're like, this company says I have to replace my unit. What am I going to do? We heard from our brother-in-law that like you're really great, and he wanted us to have you come by. Can you come by? But we don't want to pay you to come. Like, can you just see? And I'm like, look, I'll come. I'll come by and I'll take a look at it. If it's a replacement unit, I'll quote you, and we'll just do an estimate. I'll come out for an estimate. That's fine. But
okay,
if it's something I can fix, if I if I diagnose it that it truly does need to be replaced, I'll give you an estimate to replace it. But if I diagnose it and find that I can fix it, I'll fix it for you. But you have to pay me for the service fee and the parts, and it'll become a billable call. And they're like, all right, that's fair enough. I'm like, great. So, and that's like the trend. I do that often, like where I just help people. Like I first like people come to me and I'm like, let me just see what I can do to help
yeah.
you. If it ends up being a charge, billable call, it's a billable call. If it's an estimate, it's an estimate. I'm not going to like, you know, bang anybody. I'm not looking to bang people over the head. But as like a new owner and a new business, it's a lot of like just spreading my bread amongst the water. That phrase, I love that phrase. But spreading my bread amongst the water, and like I kind of just put myself out there, and like if I don't make money on the call, if I don't not making money today, I'm not too worried about it. I saw 5 or 6 different people that'll probably need new machines within the next year, so they're
That
interested in getting
that's
their
that's that's the hard part is those kinds of calls, right? Because like we used to, it's hard to offer free estimates now too, because of the cost of everything. But
yeah, yeah, it
um,
is. Yeah.
I won't lose. Sometimes like I don't care. Like I'll do kind of what you did or what you talked about. Like if I go out there and like I can't do anything for them because I had that not too long ago with a mom and pop restaurant here, and I just felt bad. I couldn't fix the unit. It needed a new coil. I tried calling around. I could not find the coil. So like he was already worried about that price, about replacing the
Right.
coil. And then like for me not to be able to find it, I talked to Root directly. They're having issues getting parts
Okay.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
so at that point, it's already a hot kitchen. I told him, or my thing was like, you're better off getting a new unit. But like, he was so worried about the price of the coil that I just felt bad. I'm like, okay, look, this is what you need. Like, I'm not even gonna charge a trip out here.
Right.
Like, it is what it is, right? If you want to call me for it, let me know. We'll get you a quote and all that. But every now and then, like, I just don't even charge because it's not even worth it. It doesn't bother me too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, and there's also another end of it where it's like there's some customers that are like really troublesome. And
If they,
there's
yeah,
like
if like I was gonna say
I'm
earlier, that some of the bigger restaurants and chains are the worst because they will cry about certain invoices or things that need to be done. I don't feel bad charging them a trip every time. So
yeah.
there's differences.
What I was gonna say was there's even times where like I'll show up and I'll be like, look, you know, you need X, Y, and Z. They become a very big trouble. And I'm like, you know what? Don't even worry about paying me because I know as soon as they pay me $1, they have a problem, they are going to try and bankrupt me to make sure that they get what they want out of it. So I'm like, before I take them your money, I would rather not take your money and waste an hour than take your money and waste 6 trying to come back here and help you. If
Oh
that
yeah,
makes sense.
no, I get.
Like,
Well, I get the calls that are like, you were just here, and I go out there and it's like something way different. I'm like, this is not covered under
yeah,
our
yeah,
warranty or anything like that, and they will try to
yeah.
nickel and dime you.
I love the people that are like they're totally dead quiet during when like maintenance contracts go out and like they don't respond to my texts, nothing. And then July 1st, it's 85 degrees, and they're like, "Hey, Richie, we're ready for that maintenance now.
No, yeah.
Ready to send the keys out." And I'm like, they're like, "When can you do? Can you come here as soon as possible to do the maintenance?" And I'm like, I'll get over there in like the next day or so, and
Yeah,
the unit doesn't.
Yeah,
I'm
I've
like,
heard that with residential because I've asked guys and they're like, yeah, they want to get maintenance fee or whatever it is because it's cheaper than calling you up for a service call, and
Yeah.
they call you knowingly that the unit's not even working.
So the way I price it out is the maintenance fee is pretty much the same as a service fee. In a service call fee, we have it's up to 2 hours of diagnosing and troubleshooting any minor repairs, excluding materials. There's a loose wire. We'll
Okay.
reconnect it. There's little things, whatever. But so the maintenance now is so that covers for 2 hours. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to price out the maintenance to be the same, almost the same pricing as the service fee. It's going to be the same labor, maybe a little bit of chemical, maybe some tablets, maybe a few things,
Yeah.
here and there, but really, really minor costs. And it'll get us, set that unit up for the season and see if anything's wrong. And we'll let them know, give them recommendations. I want to help you and fix your system. I don't want to come here and just be like, hey, oh, this is a $15,000 system. We can sell them right now. I don't.
Yeah, I guess it depends on where you start because I had the same exact deal, right? Like I came in under my dad, like fixing things. Like we were always like, what can we do to fix it? He always like
Yeah,
wanted to fix stuff. And
right.
that's how I kind of based, my career when I started.
And that's how you get paid in commercial and industrial. It's like you have to fix the problems to get paid. These companies, they got problems. They can't run their businesses without these
Yeah.
units running. You got to fix it,
But
and then you get paid.
I did have to learn how to balance it though, because I got to a certain point, it's not worth fixing if it's like, you know, complete trash, right?
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
The
So
guys,
then,
the guy's in a tough spot because he kept trying to fix something that couldn't be fixed. You got
yeah,
to
and
know when to.
that's where I was when I started, right? I've had those calls where it's like you spend too much time on it and then it just looks bad. So like now I do X, Y, and Z, and if it doesn't do what it's supposed to or it doesn't look good, replace it, right?
It's
So
too far gone. It's too
I had
far
to
gone.
I had
Yeah.
to learn how to balance that because I always wanted to fix everything. Now
Yeah,
on
that's a tough lesson to learn. Well, I think
yeah,
that comes with like when you become a mechanic, a real mechanic, and then you get like to that level of like the decision making. You have to know how it all works, and that's like you go through your apprenticeship, junior mechanic, and then like your mastery level. Like that's mastery level where like you don't even get involved with stuff. A junior mechanic might be like, no, I can totally fix this. Like I know what I'm doing. I can fix this. Don't worry about
yeah.
it. They're not thinking about down the line how it affects, kind of the
Yeah, and
business.
I got real cocky when I started too because I was like, I can fix anything, and I was this and that, and like I had real world problems come up, and I'm like, shit, okay. So you kind
Yeah.
of get that lesson too.
Yep.
But
I made some terrible mistakes. So I think one of the worst ones I ever made was a 60 horsepower motor on a cooling tower we had to replace. And I was just starting to do like estimating for like my level of skills got to where like they'd send me out and be like, all right, go do this estimate real quick, go check it, see, get the information for it, go order the parts, and then give it to me and I'll put it together and give them the number. So I'll go and I'll source the parts, see if the motor's available. It's a 60 horsepower motor. I'm up on the roof. On the 60 horsepower motor, on the back of the frame size, there's an S for special, which identifies as a different shaft size. This S is this different shaft size, just by an eighth of an inch.
yeah,
And I ordered just a regular 60 horsepower motor without the S. I never got the S. So we on a Sunday, there's 6 guys there. There's a whole crew from the building. We go out. We get the motor all the way to the rooftop. We go to put the new the existing. It's like a Dodge coupling. Put it on the end of the shaft. It doesn't fit. Wrong size.
oh,
And I'm like, oh my god. And the supervisors there, all the head mechanics, all my mentors are there that taught me, and they're like, "Who ordered this fucking motor?" And I was like, "Oh," I was like, I did." And they're like, "This motor was like 7 grand," and I'm like, yeah, I know, I got pricing on it." And they're like, "What the fuck are we gonna do? We just paid, four or five guys for 12 hours of double time on a Sunday in a hospital, and we have the wrong
dang,
fucking motor. We have to get this motor down off this roof. We have to go get a new one." The building engineers, luckily, they were friends, and they were like, "Look, we can use the motor for something else. We'll buy it from you, still. Just send us an invoice for the motor. Go
Okay.
buy another motor and put it in as soon as you can.
Dang.
And yeah, my boss came to me. He goes, "You're lucky that that building engineer that didn't, had your back, because he could have just thrown it in our face and destroyed us." But they knew
Yeah.
each other for a long time, so
I was
they
gonna
understood.
say, how did that go? Because man, that's I've had those
That was
moments too, but like
the
it
worst.
wasn't a $7,000 motor. It was like a couple hundred. But I've had that issue
Yeah.
too, where I learned okay how to order parts and stuff.
I had another bad mistake. Another When I started my business, I started doing. I had a job. They wanted to replace a Cambridge heater. I don't know if you guys have Cambridge or if you're familiar with them down
I don't
there.
think so.
Um, a Cambridge heater. It was 550,000 BTU, just a wall hung heater in a warehouse.
Okay.
And I thought it was a 950. I thought I read a 9 and not a 5. So I don't know if you're familiar with Cambridge pricing, but those units are like $25,000 or like 20 grand a
Oh
unit.
no, I've never priced one.
Yeah, yeah. And so I go, I go and order a 950,000 BTU unit, and it shows up, and we confirmed everything. And I was like, I don't know, remember what I was doing. Oh my gosh, I know how I made the mistake. My son was being born, and I was
Mm,
like, my wife is in labor, and I was like, I gotta confirm this unit, whatever, or like not labor, but like we're like about to go into the hospital, like it's all
yeah.
happening. And I was like, I just got to do this thing, and I confirmed the unit, and I confirmed the wrong unit, and like I'm the business owner, I take full responsibility of it. I screwed it all up, even from the beginning, from quoting. So
Yeah.
I quoted them on the big unit, comes in, and it's too big. I go to the owner of the business. I was like, look, I quoted you on the wrong unit. First of all, I'm going to deduct a credit. I'm going to credit you like $7,000 for giving me money for a bigger unit, right? Because you shouldn't be paying for this unit to begin with. So first, I had to give him 7 grand,
Yeah.
and then I had to work out. Cambridge has a no return policy, so I fought with them for like 6 months to get this unit back, and then I had to buy another one. So I'm fighting with them, and what they ended up doing was covering I had to pay like an extra $2,500 or 3 grand
Yeah.
for the new unit, for like delivery and stuff, and like a little bit of markup. All in all, it was I had to pay another $3,000 to get the unit I needed. And then they said, okay, you have to ship it down to us. And I'm like, what do you mean I have to ship? Can you just come get it? Whatever. And it's like, the unit weighs like 500 pounds, and it's a huge box. It's 4 by 7 by 2.5 feet
Yeah.
tall, and I'm like, all right, let me get some freight costs. People wanted like $2,500, 3 grand to ship it back to Missouri, back to the factory, and I'm like, honey, fuck it, I'm gonna rent a U-Haul. I'm gonna throw the thing in the fucking back.
I would have done the same thing.
I threw it in the back of a I rented threw it in the back of a budget truck, and I drove it down to Missouri, and I took a flight home. I dropped the budget truck off at like something near the airport, and I just took a flight home. And all in all,
Okay.
I think it cost me like $12,000. That mistake cost
Oh,
me,
okay.
and yeah, that was the beginning of the business. That was at a time where my son was being born, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
My wife's about to rip my head off because she's like, what? We just had a kid. Now you got to spend all this money. You made this fucking mistake. You're never gonna do this again. So I've made some pretty bad mistakes. And it's something that you really got to be careful of. Like, and that was, I'm like gun ho. At any time I'm like gun ho, I make mistakes. It's just like, I get a little bit like maybe I'm doing something a little bit out of my element. Maybe I'm doing something a little bit too quickly. So as like a business owner or a technician, when you get put in these positions to do that, you have that responsibility. Dot your, cross your T's, dot your I's, and then what I like to call it is a triple check. You triple check it. You call the customer again. And you say, "Look, I'm not here to bother you. I'm here to triple check.
Mm-hmm.
That deposit we got. We're going to order the unit. I just want to make sure we're good to go. Whatever you have to do. That's like one huge thing is like you start to get the responsibilities. You got to really check everything and
No,
not screw yourself.
I love that, and I love that
Yeah,
triple check, because that's something that I've always said. I'm like, I don't care, just
yeah.
double check, triple check.
Triple check. Yeah, the triple check is underrated. I like it too. It's a really good habit to get into. Even teaching the guys like to troubleshoot or something when they have calls to me. It's like, what's your supply temperature? What's your superheat? What's your subcool? What's your return? What's your pressures at? And then like, all right, go pull the filter out real quick. Just make
Yeah,
sure, right? Go
it
triple check.
you got to check your basics, because it's always gonna. I
Yeah,
always tell people a lot of times it's just something really dumb.
yeah, yeah.
It's not always like the most difficult call. Uh,
No,
but like
difficult call.
I that was a good note to end on, because I did want to ask you like how how do you keep your business afloat, if you kind of want to end on like a little advice there, just
Um,
being new as you are in the business, or
yeah,
running a business.
you got to have a good attitude. You got to have, no matter what happens, no matter how much money it's going to cost you, don't ever take it out on the customer. Don't ever breathe, don't start a fight. Don't give them an attitude. If you're angry about something, when you walk up to that customer, you just tune it out.
Yeah, I think
That
keeping
would
your cool is a big deal, because I grew up with my dad being a hothead, my grandpa being a hothead, kind of rubbed off
be,
on me. But then I noticed my dad was not like that at work. I mean, certain things will tick him off, and if he has to stick up for himself, he will. But I was like, okay, you got to have like a certain personality to be in business, because you make one wrong move and that's your business.
when I walk into a customer's home, I want them to be like, "Oh, Richie, I'm so happy you're here. I'm so glad to see you."
Mm-hmm.
Not like, "Oh, he's coming now." All
Oh,
right,
this guy.
yeah, I know. I need. That's not. So that would be it. Stay positive. No matter how hot it is, no matter how hard and overworked and tired you are, um, don't take it home. That's another one, big one. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
leave it in your van. You shut the van off. You go to hop out. Work is over. Just go into your family. You had a bad day, go smile, be happy you walked into your home with your family. You got dinner on the table. You got, your kids are smiling and happy. It's a good day. It's not anything to get, you know,
No, that's a good point. I've always tried to
yeah,
do that, and like you your kids will remember that stuff, right? Like if you're
yeah,
always upset at the house, like because of work, if you're always working, if you're always in a bad mood after work, your kids are going to remember that. So just leave it at,
right.
like you said, leave it at the van, get in, enjoy your family time. And
Yep.
as a
Yep.
business owner, you do a lot after work, but like try to keep it separate.
Yeah. Yeah. You got it. And it's tough. Like right now, as a business owner, my office is in my home. My business is everything. Every facet of my life has been taken over by my business.
We're
Everything.
the same way, because we don't have a shop. I don't know if you guys do, or if you work out of the house.
No, no, all out of the house, out of the garage.
Yeah, we're the same.
I put a shed up in the backyard and another two sheds. One's got all the lawn stuff and the yard stuff. One's got all the kid stuff, and then the garage has all the the
Yeah, that's how we've
work
done it.
stuff.
My dad has a few like little shed warehouses in the back too.
Yeah. But yeah, and then like one little thing I did when I used to do was when I would get home, I'd change my socks. Like no matter what, I put like nice like crew socks, like socks that were like really comfy. I had these like really comfy socks I used to buy, and I would put them. I don't know. It's weird.
It's
It's weird to say.
like an
I never really
attitude
cared.
change.
Yeah, yeah. I'd put on new socks as soon as I walk in the door. It's like I get dressed. I put on my fresh pair of socks, and I'm like, comfortable. I'm home.
Yeah,
No more
it's
stress.
whatever you got to do, man.
Yeah, it's a weird one, but yeah, it's works.
Well, I appreciate you for coming on. I think we had a great conversation. So
Yeah, this is
appreciate
a lot of
all the insights and everything in your business, and how you came in.
fun. Thanks, man. Yeah, I was happy to talk to you, man. This has been great. I'm getting to know you and stuff. I've been watching you for like freaking over a year now, and I'm like, and it's so nice to put like the personality together with who I'm seeing.
No,
You're really
because
really good.
I started doing the whole AHR thing, so that's how I've got to meet people. But like doing the
Yeah.
podcast is how I've really gotten to, because like when else do I get to sit down with somebody for like an hour or so and, talk to
Yeah.
them. So this has been a cool um, thing to do. And I really enjoyed this episode, man.
Cool, man. Yeah, I'm happy to hear it, man. Anytime you're available, reach out. I'll love to do
I was
another
I
one
was
with you.
gonna say, like, I didn't even get through all my little talking points. I think we could definitely do something else in the future. So I'll
Yeah.
save that for next
Okay.
time.
Okay.
And
Cool. Yeah.
yeah. So everybody watching and listening, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.